They started drawing art and showing support for the mangaka on Twitter until the introduction of a character called Manbagi that would slowly lead to a building anger to one of the most screwed up collections of fan art that I've ever seen. Just a preface, don't send any ill will to anyone mentioned or shown in this video. This was made out of an extreme interest for something I found to be really crazy, interesting, and niche. Also, to keep this video family friendly, some things on the screen will be censored, but if you are interested in an unrestrained version, that will be published on my Patreon the day after I post this video, along with any other uncensored or extended cuts of videos. So, let's go. Japanese and Western fans have the unfortunate legacy of sometimes getting up in arms with their passion about pieces of anime, manga, and light novels that they feel invested into, or feel a part of the community with. Whether it's something dumb like Twitter threads of people getting mad that a girl from Hiroaka had subtle body type changes, or very cross, more serious issues like when that one Japanese fan sent death threats to Mikasa's voice actress from Attack on Titan. This is something carried over as a common sentiment as well in long-running harems or rom-coms, where the author ends up being threatened or criticized for ruining their manga, when the lead might end up with the person that some people didn't want them to. This happened with Domestic Girlfriend, for example, with its ending and the outrage around it. Something that is common with all of these, however, whether they be overactive fan comments or serious threats, is most of the time, they are people that you haven't heard of. People who have jobs, friend circles, and live separately from the internet, broadly speaking. People with small or no followings on social media. This isn't always the case, as is with today's topic, but it's certainly the norm. Okay, so I found an artist who posts some really cursed stuff. And at first, I wasn't sure if they were just into some messed up stuff. I mean, if you dig deep, there's some really weird stuff out there. Like, anime fans make jokes about degeneracy, like, haha, yeah, Boku no Pico though, ha ha ha, aren't feet weird, huh, whoa, love me some big ol' boys, NTR. Okay, that last one is decently out there, but truthfully speaking, a lot of this stuff isn't even touching the tip of the iceberg for the decrepit and depraved stuff you can find on anime-related art out there. Some of which we will genuinely be covering today, so be warned. No, like, really. As interesting as I find what we're going to be talking about, some of this art is so intentionally nasty, it legitimately makes me want to gag. Now, the stuff that's that bad, I won't be showing here in the video, even in the uncensored version, but I'm just warning you if you end up taking the dive yourself. Mamimi started as a wholesome Komi-san fan account and generally anime-related artist, drawing, among other things, Komi-san NTR. Okay, yeah, that's probably already too far for most people. Point is though, they started drawing art and showing support for the mangaka on Twitter until the introduction of a character called Manbagi that would slowly lead to a building anger to one of the most screwed up collections of fan art that I've ever seen. So they were mad about a character called Mombaggy? Or something? Truth is, I'm pretty blind when it comes to Komi-san, so for my context, and yours, I have asked my extremely handsome friend and Sid Snap's editor, Dakota Broski, the #1 Komi-san fan, to give a quick overview of what we should know going into this.
Komi-san wa Komyushu desu, or Komi-san Can't Communicate, is one of my all-time favorite series. The story mostly follows at the beginning Komi-san and Tadano discovering the secret of Komi-san, who is this ice queen popular girl who won't give anybody the time of day, when in reality Komi-san just can't talk to others and has high anxiety about it. Through this friendship, Tadano promises Komi-san to help her with her goal of making 100 friends, seeing at the time of this first chapter she has no friends, Tadano being the first one. Through this, they run into Najimi and other characters in the class that want to also get closer to Komi-san. And the more she opens up, the more the class realizes that she's not just this really high, untouchable god, but just a normal, cute high school girl that they also can be friends with. Now, as the story progresses, of course, the main character Tadano and Komi-san start to have certain moments where they realize that their friendship might be something more. Then along comes Manbagi, a socially awkward gyaru who has no way of introducing herself or expressing herself other than her gyaru habits. But thanks to Tadano and Komi-san, she opens up more and more. Of course, things get a lot more complicated as the story goes on when we are realizing that we can't just do cute things in cute Komi-san chapters, but there has to be more character development between Manbagi, her feelings, Tadano, his feelings, and Komi-san, her feelings. Drama ensues, high-end, edge-of-your-seat chapters happen, but at the same time, it never loses that cute Komi-san doing cute things vibe.
Big thanks to Dakota for doing this, by the way. He's a huge Komi-san fan, to the extent that he didn't think he'd even be able to watch this video due to its content, but I appreciate him helping me regardless. Before we get into the nightmares, I want to note something else that really surprised me. Not only did they have a big audience on Twitter, their audience on Twitter is even bigger than the own mangaka, which, just take a sec to let that sink in. But they are also a genuinely good artist, as much as it pains me to say that with some of the awful stuff I've seen. There's no way to get around it. Despite drawing some filthy, decrepit stuff that we'll get into, their understanding of fundamentals and coloring is easily at a professional level, and the few scraps of cute or wholesome art that I could find is genuinely well-made, lovely stuff, which is why it's so interesting to me, while someone who has such an amazing amount of talent and skill, enough to be as big or bigger than they are now, maybe even with their own manga, chooses to fill their library with literal fat pigs, horses, and the lot, getting with Komi-san. Oh, sorry, I almost got ahead of myself there. From what I can tell from the initial art, while kinky and occasionally gross, it was mostly just that. I had to look at their Pixiv for some of the older stuff since their Twitter was recently suspended a while back, for seemingly unrelated reasons. Starting around February though, when the mangaka would post panels involving manbagi, they would respond to the mangaka themselves with angry emojis, eventually turning into small arguments with people in the replies and derogatory statements aimed at the mangaka. Eventually, seemingly to spite the mangaka for what they viewed as not following the will of the fans, they talked about how manbagi apparently monopolizes and ruins 170 chapters of the manga, stating, "The design is grotesque and disturbing to other characters." Nevertheless, Oda, the mangaka, refused to admit their failure and presented her as the main character. This escalated to a fever pitch that caused me to discover the artist. These small, angry replies turned into full works of art to berate the characters and decisions, which I think, when you look at it, becomes fairly self-explanatory. Still, since it's so rare with so much talent, at best, so dedicated to a bit, I was feeling the same way that this replier was. I found this artist. Call me an idiot for not understanding, but if the artist hates manbagi, then why draw Komi in TR? I hope someone or the artist can explain. With the reply of, "I like the manga, but I hate it at the same time. The character is lovely, but the story is terrible. I know that I am contradictory. I want you to think of this as satire." Satire. I do believe this is possible, and in a sense, especially in the Japanese scene, dolgens of your beloved characters being put through unthinkable things is probably just a given for an artist starting out something, but something about it still feels a little off to me, at least to the extent of replying to the artists themselves with such tweets. I'm not a great artist. I'm a pretty bad one with exception to some background art that I'm proud of, and I want to get better. But if I eventually got better and had a comic coming out, if I posted some of my hours of hard work online to tease and give my fans something to be excited about because I was genuinely happy, I imagine that it would depress me a lot having people not just disagree, but blatantly insult me while posting their hatred on my post with disgusting drawings of my beloved and possibly deeply personal characters. The thing is though, and possibly to avoid stoking the flames for giving attention, I don't know of the mangaka commenting on things like this, and if it bothers them. In this age of the internet, stating how they are bothered might make it worse, or invite more copycat artists. I don't know what I've been trying to wrestle with, or how I feel, if this is right or wrong. It strikes me in just a weird place that reminds me of all the interesting, unique things that you can truly stumble upon on the internet. I don't know where the line should be, and that's mainly why I decided to make this video and why I'll deposit it to you. What are your thoughts and opinions on this extremely bizarre, niche, and specific situation? As always, I reply to countless comments on each video, so feel free to share your thoughts, and I'll try to get back to you. Thanks to my patrons, Friendly Neighbor, Whizbang2093, Daniel Frousing, Jared Summers, Rune, My Name is Klein, and all of my other patrons and Twitch supporters. Tell me what you thought of this very weird and unique video from me, and I hope that some part of you found this interesting. I'll see you soon.